Hello everyone, ATR here, and it's time for some patch notes. So, on the 29th, we are going to be hit with a new balance patch and, well, some additional things added to the game, as you can see right there. But yeah, let's go ahead and read through those and see what is in store for Company Heroes 2. So on October 29th, we get, well, as general updates, 2 new commanders added into the game that can be acquired via war spoils and the in-game store. And of course, you've probably seen these around. They were throwing around the competition of name your commander and things of that nature. So we are getting the Oberkommando West Führersturm Doctrine and the U.S. Forces Heavy Cavalry Company. Now, this one probably the more prominent that people have been talking about because it includes things like the Rangers right here and the Persian tank getting added onto the multiplayer section. So that should be nice to see how they perform, and I can only assume it's going to be a very popular commander. And of course, for the Oberkommando West, we get the Hetzers and things like that. So yeah, I mean, it should be nice to see some additional units getting into the multiplayer. So I don't think we need to, well, let's just read these through. So they added the Hetzer 57 Intel Bulletin for the Flampanzer 38 Hetzer. The added Tiger Grass Intel Bulletin for the M26 Pershing Heavy Tank. Added additional support for screenshots in dev mode, which is on the far end of the patch notes, if you care. Added additional filters, modding to the hub, so single-player missions and multiplayer game modes can be filtered. Added a button in the modding hub that directs players to the Essence Engine modding wiki. Added a button in the global menu that directs players to Sega customer service. And optimized UI after post-game loading. So, nice. But here we go, the balance updates, the ones that most of you are going to be interested in. So, general flag weapon update. So all flag weapons, it says this flag was set to false in order to prevent flag weapons from instantly killing all squad members in garrison structures. So damage in hold, flag set from true to false. So yeah, I mean, it was quite, well known that flag weapons of a lot of types quickly kill your units in garrison, so they removed the flag on that so that it doesn't do it that quickly, so all that. Anyway, Centaur, slight damage reduction in order to allow players to react to this unit. Previously, at 20 damage, the lethality rate of the Centaur was overperforming. Really? You think it was overperforming? So anyways, the damage has been reduced from 20 to 14 for the Centaur. It's a hefty chunk there. But we'll see if it is, enough, or if it's still too powerful, or if it is now rendered useless. Those tend to be the the outcomes of things of these. So yeah, the Centaur has been nerfed a little bit, so we'll see if it is still a sore thumb there for a lot of players. Flamethrowers update. So the cover table, we are reducing the bonus damage that flamethrowers apply to garrison to give players more time. I'm assuming it's what it wants to say there. To react with their units in garrison. Previously, we would see weapon teams be killed before they could ungarrison. So the garrison caber bonus damage reduced from 1.5 to 1.25. So yeah, the flamethrowers are meant to do more damage to units in garrison, but since it was too much damage that it was doing, like it says, weapons teams like the MGs, they have to unpack to be able to move out. They wouldn't have enough time to do so if they got assaulted by a flamethrower, so they're reducing the damage, still more than outside of cover, so, we'll see. Vehicle flamethrowers, this is probably the bigger change. We tuned vehicle flamethrowers to make them more consistent across the board. We have reduced the damage on most heavy flame vehicles because it was overperforming, while increasing the damage on the Wasp due to its underperformance. So the Churchill Crocodile flamethrower damage has been reduced from 12 to 10. So yeah, I mean, the Crocodile still good. A little bit reduction in damage, not too much, so it should still be pretty similar. But here we go, the big one, the KVA damage reduced from 16 to 10. So it was doing a ton of damage with this flamethrower, but now it does the same as the Croc. Not sure if that is a good change or not. I mean, obviously it's good because a lot of people agree that the KV8 is too powerful. It has too much of an impact when it comes out. But reducing all the way to 10, I mean, we'll see if it actually keeps it viable or if it's just a waste of space, essentially. So only time will tell, I suppose. And then the Universal Carrier Wasp damage increased from 6 to 10. So yeah, the Universal Carrier's flamethrowers weren't really doing that much, so they now bring it up a little bit and in line with the rest. So it does as much damage as the flamethrower of a KV-8 on a light little vehicle. So, interesting. Flame damage over time. We are increasing the time per tick for damage over time. This will include all incendiary abilities, molotovs, and flamer dots, which is damage over time, that vehicles leave behind. The tick in-game time should translate to about 1 second real time, which should help players gauge the amount of damage they will take if they choose to stand in the fire. So the damage frequency has been reduced from 0.5 to 1.25, and the damage over time radius increased from 3 to 5. So basically, it has a bigger radius, but it does its damage less frequently. So overall, flamethrowers in general taking quite a hefty knock there. They've gotten nerfed across the board. So yeah, I mean, less damage to units in garrison, less damage over time, and less damage overall for the vehicle flamethrowers. So we'll see. I mean, again, hopefully these are adjustments that are being made that'll still keep them viable whilst, well, balancing exactly, rather than just making them useless and not worth the time. Artillery update, air superiority. Previously, the huge blast radius of these bombs made it very difficult for players to dodge, so the AoE radius of the bombs have been reduced from 10 to 5, so half. So they half the radius on the air superiority bombs. Heavy artillery shells. We want to reduce the effectiveness of artillery shells against production buildings, and they now do 25% less damage against base structures. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be more difficult to take down, base structures with artillery shells. I mean, we see it a lot of times happening with, artillery shells taking shots at the base when retreating units, trying to get some hits, but also damaging the structure. But I think more importantly, it's probably addressing artillery targeting the OKW trucks, which are usually out on the field and a little bit more easily targetable. So they should be able to withstand a little bit more damage, 25% to be exact. So the Lay, the infantry support gun, a hot topic for quite a while. So in our efforts to make AoE more consistent, we saw a huge jump in performance with indirect fire units such as the Lay and the Pack Howitzer. We are adjusting its stats to bring it more in line with other indirect fire units. So what this means is both the Lay and the Pack Howitzer are getting nerfed. So across the board and some differences, but yeah, basically I'm not going to dabble in the values, but like it says, suppression amount reduced, damage profile reduced, projectile lowest angle increased, which it means it's, takes longer, VED1 range bonus reduced, and it can no longer auto-face. That is probably the biggest hit for these weapons that I can think of, because basically, I mean, you can't leave neither the Pack Howitzer, because it has the same thing right there, nor the Lay. You can't just set them up like in a little bit behind your front line and let them do their work and then just have them target something specifically when you want to throw a barrage. They have to be looking at the angle, because if it's something that's outside the target of fire, they're not going to turn to target it, even if they can see it, even if it's in range. So that makes it a lot more difficult to use. We'll see again if it's the sort of thing that breaks the unit, or it is still, sufficiently good and viable, but considering that it's already taking a hit in stats and then they're adding this limitation to it, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to be seeing these units in the game anymore. We'll see. We'll see how well they still perform. And same thing for the Pack Howitzer, except that it reduced the radius from 6 to 5. I'm assuming it's referring to the AoE radius, the blast radius, because otherwise I don't know what it's referring to. But yeah, same thing on the other values, all of them. Suppression reduced, auto attack reload increased. Oh, that's another one. Auto attack reload increased, so it takes longer to shoot. So yeah, I mean, it's changes obviously that needed to be made. Again, with all these things, sorry, it's just time that will tell us whether it was enough or too much or not enough. It's the thing about balance. It's not as easy as it may look. You have to take a lot of things into consideration, and yeah, we'll see. I mean, because considering like the auto-facing situation, I mean, it may still be a situation where light infantry support guns are still really, really good in team games, and you still can't really deal with them. But they're now useless in 1v1s, things like that. It all depends on the situation where you're at. So we'll see. Anyways, British forces, infantry sections. We are addressing the heavy attrition cost that infantry sections have, so which means the reinforcement cost has been reduced by 10%, which is 28 per model. The Sten Mark 6 silence SMGs, we are reducing the overall DPS due to players not being able to react to these units when engaged in close quarters. So the rate of fire has been reduced from 26 to 14, so almost half the rate of fire. And the burst duration increased to some values there that, whatever. Churchills, reducing the armor of the Churchill to allow reduce... okay, I think that doesn't go there. Yeah, I don't think allow goes there. So it's reducing the armor of the Churchill to reduce the amount of deflection while maintaining the Churchill's ability to soak up damage. Now this I don't think goes here because the changes here says armor reduced from 280 to 240 and the default Churchill health reduced from 1600 to 1400. So yeah, the Churchill's taking a hit. It's reducing its armor and its health. That at no way stays that it's going to maintain its ability to soak up damage. I mean, if you're reducing the armor and not touching the health, maybe I can still follow that line of thought. Like, well, we're reducing the armor so it gets more penetrations, but it still has that beefy health, so it can soak up a lot of damage. But you're addressing both. Does it still have, a lot of health and armor? Sure, but, I mean, you could have just stopped right there. Like with this. Reducing the amount of Churchill armor to reduce the amount of deflection, and then just do that. Because this doesn't make sense when you're talking about also reducing its health. Anyways, so we have some map updates. Kolotny, Ferma Winter, Langres Winter, and Moscow Winters. They're all being changed to bring it in line with the summer variants, which is nice. Like previously, yeah, there were some differences between the two versions because of cold tech. So whereas in the winter version, you would have maybe some open field in a map, you would have heavy snow there. So yeah, it's an open field, but your units would move very slowly through it. Well, it's no longer the case with the removal of cold tech, so they're going to probably bring it the same. Who knows if they're going to look exactly alike, but, at least they're making some changes there, so they are of similar structure. Because, I mean, honestly, with the removal of cold tech, I mean, snow and, winter is literally just a skin. You can have the exact same map and the same. It worked exactly the same, and one just looks snowy and the other doesn't. So, there's really no difference anymore. Rails and Metal adjusted the eastern base so UK players so their base face inwards. Angleville Farms reverted back to a previous version without the glider wreck. That's kind of sad. I actually hoped that the glider would be a permanent feature of that map. It looked pretty cool that it was there. It made it actually feel like it was part of a war zone rather than it's just some random city or town there and then you fight in it. So whatever. I mean, I'll miss it, but it's fine. And adjusted the map entry points at the southern base. Red Bull Express, latest changes community members. So a lot of changes on maps. If you care about those maps, they're right there. You can read them. And Across the Rhine being added to the 2v2 auto match. And then we come to the big ass wall of text. Let's try and go through these as quickly as we can. So, bug fixes, general. So, Intel bulletins now appear in the correct order. Great. The UI will now function properly when accepting an observation party invite while in a multiplayer lobby. Good. Games will no longer desync for the remaining users when one user quits the match. Great. Equipped skins and bulletins now appear in saved games. That's awesome. Proper warning text appears when trying to build a howitzer in an HQ territory. Yeah, that's good. I mean, they made it so that you can't place those howitzers in your base, so at least now it tells you, hey, you can't build here, you don't have permission. Zoning laws don't allow you to build here, you have to build just on the other side of that line. Mission 06 can now be completed. Wow, now, nice. I mean, I don't know how many years are we into it? 2, almost 3 years now? Good that you can now finally complete the 6th mission. Mission 10, starting units now behave properly. Good, because they were pretty cunty. Howitzers can now fire if some crew members are in the soft map edge. So I never saw that happen, but that's interesting. So I guess if you build the howitzer at the very edge of the map, if the crew inside was not exactly in there, it wouldn't fire. I don't know. Soviet Sherman, Soviet B-4 howitzer, and Wehrmacht left 18 howitzer wrecks can now be salvaged. Good. Vehicle loader injured critical animator will now disappear when repaired. This one I had questions of. So That's nice. I mean, we saw it in a couple matches in the 2v2 week that I did, where the loader injured critical would be on a tank and it wouldn't go away. Now, my question here, which doesn't, clarify, is whether that was just a graphical glitch where the icon wouldn't go away, or was it a bug where the critical wouldn't actually go away? Because yeah, I mean that that doesn't make sense that there would have been by design a critical type of damage on a vehicle that you couldn't repair like all the others. Like even losing your gunner, you can repair it and get the gunner back. So yeah, I mean, it didn't make any sense to me. So yeah, I mean, the question that I have, whether it was just a graphical glitch or if it was an actual bug where the buff or debuff would remain. But anyways, it looks like that's been cleared, so we shouldn't have that problem anywheres. The turret disabled criticals can now be repaired. So that, I'm assuming, is the one with the little arrows where you can turn the turret. I mean, that's nice. I'm assuming, though, I mean, it was only a temporary debuff, so it will go away on its own. But I'm assuming, though, like, if you're getting repaired at that moment and you get crit, you can repair it at that time without having to wait for it to wear off. You know, kind of a niche situation, but I guess that's what they're fixing. Anyways, we got a lot to go through. Let's keep reading. Team weapons and vehicle veterancy buffs no longer stack when abandoned and recruit. Yeah, we've been having a lot of issues with people figuring out exploits with that, so it's nice that they're addressing those. Game no longer crashes when custom maps auto-generate more than the maximum allowable visuals, trees, plants and trees. And the game no longer runs slow when observing a game as a party. Good. Anyway, so the Soviets, partisan troops no longer camouflage after recrewing a team weapon. Partisan tank hunters no longer camouflage as well when they recruit a team weapon. The Dishka 38 heavy machine guns data has been brought in line with other heavy machine guns. The M3A1 scout car vehicle crew self-repair ability will no longer cause the game to crash when garrisoned with a squad, which is kind of funny. I didn't know that would happen. Was that like all the time, or was it just a random occurrence? But same thing with the M5 half tracks. They fixed that. The Katusha barrage ability now has the correct area of effect damage values. Not sure what that means, but I mean, I guess that's good. The M4C Sherman medium tanks prioritized vehicle ability now has the correct animator, as well as the T3476, T3485, the IS-2, and the KV-1 all having that animator corrected. The ML20 howitzer barrage ability now receives the proper buff at veterancy 3. Same thing for the B4. And the M5 half track no longer provides reinforcements after purchasing the anti-air package. I mean, that was removed a while ago, but I guess there was a bug and it was still allowing the reinforcement, which is weird, but we'll see. Forward headquarters ability aura no longer stacks on recruit team weapons and USF vehicle crews. So yeah, again, one of those exploits that was being utilized and brought to light more recently, where decrewing and recrewing would stack buffs that you would get, and yeah, they were kind of breaking the game there. Vehicle tech tree help text now properly describes available units. Good. Wehrmacht, the GRW34 mortar team now have rotation values. Not sure what that means, but good. Same team, a barrage ability now shows the correct UI reticule radius. Good. The Lef 18 howitzer counter barrage ability now fires 10 shells, and it receives a buff at veterancy 3. The Puma armored cars now receive the proper buff at veterancy 3. The mortar half-tracked barrage ability now shows the correct UI. The Panzerwerfer barrage Victor target ability now fires 10 rockets. The Panther can no longer receive a brew up critical. What the hell is brew up? Start making beer or what the fuck? What's a brew up critical? If anybody knows, put it in the comments, because I have no idea what the hell a brew up critical is. The Brumbar bunker buster ability now has proper scatter values, and for the Brumbar, it now receives the proper buff when the hold down is active. The Tiger 4 heavy tank prioritized vehicles ability, correct animator, and the Tiger Race, same thing with the animator. So I'm assuming that's probably going to be showing in everything. U.S. forces, the M5 mines now have the proper animator. Okay, good. Assault engineers can now build the proper fuel and munition caches. Good. Paratroopers now have access to the vehicle decrew ability. Huh. Interesting. So previously, if you put paratroopers in a vehicle, they wouldn't be able to do that. Cool. I mean, not cool, but I didn't know that. Paratroopers now have access to the tactical assault ability after purchasing the Thompson submachine gun package. They didn't have it before? I thought that was a whole thing with the Thompson submachine guns. Huh. Maybe now we'll see them. Even though we're probably going to see more Rangers rather than paratroopers, but whatever. Anyways, Major's barrage ability now shows the correct UI reticle. Good. The M2HB heavy machine guns data has been brought in line with other heavy machine guns. The AA half-tracks main gun no longer rotates into the driver's cab. Good. That's kind of painful for the driver when it happens. Light tanks prioritize vehicle animator, right? Priest barrage ability uses target position. M4A3 Sherman medium tanks prioritize vehicle animator. The EC8 Sherman, same thing with the prioritized vehicle animator. Vehicles and crews that have been scanned by an IR half-track are no longer visible in the fog of war when they exit the vehicle to make repairs. Okay. Forward observers ability modifiers now apply to reinforced squad members. The hell's forward observers? I'm assuming that's like the IR Pathfinders? Or what the hell is this? Anyways, I need to reconnect there with the U.S. forces. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. Anyways, LMG Supplies Intel Bulletin is now called LMG and Bazooka Supplies and now provides a cost reduction for both weapon racks. Oh, that's cool. Bazooka Supply Intel is now called Bazooka Range and now provides a 5% range increase. Oh, okay. Overkommando West. The Sturm Officer Inspiration Arrow no longer stacks on recruit weapons. Again, same exploit that we've seen, so it looks like it has been addressed across the board. Hopefully we won't see any reoccurrence of it. Rakuten Warfare weapon crew no longer breaks camouflage when the camouflage ability is active. Didn't they fix this before where it wouldn't shoot if they were camouflaged, so it wouldn't reveal it? I don't know. I guess it never actually fixed it. The flak half-track no longer receives engine damage criticals from small arms. Well, that's nice for it. The Walking Stuka incendiary rockets now have proper scatter values. The King Tiger Spearhead ability now has proper range and scatter values. Prioritized vehicle ability now has a correct animator. Heat Shell ability no longer uses the artillery collision type, now uses the proper speed and acceleration values. Reverse Engineering Intel Bulletin now points to the proper Panzerschreck weapon. Building Tech Tree Help text now properly describes available units. Okay. And British Forces. Infantry Sections Coordinated Fire ability now has a static radius. Infantry Sections now receive a debuff while constructing. Ah, interesting. I didn't know they didn't actually receive it, so now we know. Armor-piercing sniper now has proper accuracy modifiers against retreating units and garrisoned units. Commandos can no longer reinforce at USF beacons. Huh, interesting. I did not know that happened. So the commandos would be able to reinforce from the beacons that the Pathfinders can drop. That's what I'm assuming, right? So that was kind of cool, but I guess no longer. Air landing officer charge ability no longer stacks on allied USF units. Universal Carrier has had an inappropriate line of speech removed. Huh. Is that what I was seeing? Something about hunts or something like that? Whatever. Anyways. Grow up, people. Shit happens. Ake, armored car has had an inappropriate line removed. Okay, great. The PC company heroes too now. Cromwell ability corrector, same, the correct animator for prioritized vehicles. We'll see that probably in other things. Churchill Crocodile now has a moving scatter penalty. The AVRE's prioritized vehicle, correct animator. Infantry no longer have a 10% chance critical to die instantly to explosive weapons. Oh, that's nice. No longer receive a flame death from small explosives. Emplacement cost help text is no longer present in the command post build menu. Emplacements cost help text is no longer present in the command post build menu. Okay. Emplacements can now be built if the pop cap would equal 100. Okay. Commando glider insertion ability can no longer destroy fuel and munitions caches by landing a glider on them. Forward logistics glider ability can no longer destroy fuel and munitions glider. Okay, good. Horsa glider HQ can now set a rally point. Good. Designate command vehicle ability modifiers no longer stack on recruit vehicles. Good. Designate command vehicle ability now provides the proper experience modifier. Air resupply operation ability will now land on territories captured and controlled by teammates. And concentrated fire operation ability now requires sight to be fired. Okay. And then we have some console commands. I don't think you actually care about that. It is set for level of detail for taking screenshots and such. So they added some command lines there that you can utilize and telling you what you can do. Again, I don't think many of you are going to care. If you do, the link is down below so you can go ahead and read it. So anyways, guys, that is it for the patch notes. That is the patch that should be coming to us on the 29th of October. Let me know what you think. Let me know if things are too much, not enough, or plainly just broken. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed me reading this for almost 30 minutes, and I'll see you next time.